Hello, everybody. My name is Enrico Rima, and I'm the co-founder and the co-founder of the company Lebenskleidung in Berlin. And it's really an honor to me to speak to you today in your um, occasion you do. And I think the question what you raise up is really important. The world is changing now. That's right. And how can we safeguard humanity's future? And so maybe I can give you a perspective of my business, what I'm doing, and how it's related maybe to this question, because I'm working in one of the dirtiest industry. It's a textile industry. But maybe I introduce myself, how I am and what we're doing here, and then maybe I highlight some of the issues you have in a conventional textile industry. Okay, so yeah, I mean, maybe I do it the other way around. Maybe I spend some facts on the textile industry, and I think a lot of you heard about that about the topic of fast fashion. Fast fashion is an cheap, stylish, and mass-produced closest, and they, of course, they have a big impact into the environment. And this fast fashion business is growing and growing and going faster and faster. Just to give you some figures, in the 70s, in America, people were buying 25 items of clothing or garments a year, and they spent 10% of their amount of the income for this clothes. And then from the 80s to the 90s it changed, because as you might know, lots of textile industry were leaving the Western countries and were going to Asia or other cheap labor countries. So that means that also the possibilities of getting cheap clothes was raising quite a lot. So if you compare this to now, an average American is taking now buying more than 70 items a year, but they only spend 2.5% of their income on that. So here you can see one of the biggest issues is that due to cheap labor and due to externalization of environmental costs, it's possible to have these cheap clothes here. Some of the clothes were even not worn before they were thrown away. This is also statistics you can find at Greenpeace studies, whatever. So, but let's have a look. What is exactly the problems with the fast fashion? Of course, the first thing is you have a lot of textile wastes. This is at least 70 million tons of textile waste you have every year is generated. It was a number of 2018. But only 2.5 million were recycled. And then even what is the definition of recycling is, I mean, it could be this or that, it could be good recycling, but it could be sometimes it's just burning or telling that you recycle it just to a certain percentage. So this is one of the biggest issues, that you have a big textile waste. And the second topic, what is maybe also one of your major topics in your discussions here, is the carbon footprint, of course. I think the whole textile industry is having an input of 4% of the overall carbon footprint worldwide. So you see here that this is it's a big part of that, just for fashion. So there's something we need to tackle here. And what is another issue is that water pollution, because as you know, fabrics has to be dyed and finished, and it needs lots of water. And even if you grow the cotton in the beginning, there's also, you can do it with rain-fed water, so to say, or you just take irrigation, what is not good for the soil, and also quite a waste of water. So that 20% of the whole water pollution what is out there in the world is created by the textile industry. So this is a big issue. And then, of course, what I mentioned in the beginning is why do we get all these cheap things here? Is of course we externalize what I said, water pollution. We externalize somehow the carbon footprint to other countries because the things are produced there. But you know, these emissions are not counted into our budget here in the Western countries. And last question is that yeah, you have unsafe labor conditions, or you have even exploitations of people in this all over the chain. So it starts with cotton farmers who are mostly, I think it's about 80 million cotton farmers you have, and most of them are like really small scale small scale farmers. So they have at least 1 hectare. So they're totally depending on their harvest, what they have there. So just to give you a number, is that that when we studied in India, me and Benjamin, my other co-founder, was studying in India. We just stepped over all these kind of problems we had no clue about when we are living here in Europe and just reading newspapers. So what we figured out is that in the beginning of this textile chain or supply, it's the farmers, you know, and especially in India, so many farmers commit suicide. And because of what? Because they're getting like in a financial trap, you know. They are where most of them are illiterates, so they cannot speak or write. So they are totally depending on what other people telling them or what other farmers telling them what is right. So companies know how to, you know, to face them, or how to talk to them, that they are convinced that, for example, they have to take GMO because they're telling them, see, if you take genetically modified organisms, your cotton will be not prone to this cotton bollworm who's usually going in to destroy the cotton. So they try this, you know, and they try pesticides, and they, of course, they're getting seeds from big companies where the companies have a patent on, you know. It's not that you can just regrow them, but you have to buy all these seeds again and again. So, and you see here, obviously, they spend a lot of money to improve their harvest and also their livelihood. But if there's like the monsoon is not coming on time, monsoon is like the big rain, heavy rains, what coming regular in India, or you have like a pest because, you know, this GMO was not working like it's supposed to be because there was another worm coming, what is actually biodiversity. So they lose their whole harvest, they lose their whole income for 1 year. So what we figured out when we studied in India is that lots of farmers committed suicide. You know, it's like 10 to 15,000 every year. They commit suicide in India because they cannot get out of this trap. You know, to grow cotton, to use all these pesticides, fungicides, and they have to take fertilizer. What is also like fertilizers are made from crude oil. So this is also like, on the one side, it's not good for the insects and the biodiversity around, but on the other side, it's also very intensive of energy, and it's also like, yeah, as I said, based on oil. So this is also not something for the future if we want to tackle the climate change or the climate crisis, or let's say it's a human crisis. It's not the climate crisis because the climate can work but the people cannot. So it's more a crisis of mankind. So this is one thing. So maybe I start here to tell you how we do it differently. We founded this company like 13 years ago. We're working here in Berlin, and we are supplying to small and medium scale designer fabrics from 1 meter onwards. And our approach was, since we've studied in India and we've seen all these issues there, we also have seen the rivers where you can see the rivers close to the garment producers or close to the dye houses. You could see the colors in the river. So we figured out that on the one side you have a big externalization of costs on the environment, and you have a big externalization of costs because you exploit people there. So so that was our aim, to say, damn, we have to do something there. I mean, this is something that is not acceptable here for the 21st century, what we are talking about. So that's why we started this company 13 years ago. And what we put in focus on, first step was we put a focus on we only use fabrics that are made from organic natural fibers. So it means cotton, linen, wool, and so this was most important. Is our base for everything is that all these materials were grown organically. So we don't have all these kind of issues with pesticides. Usually the organic farmers do their pesticides by themselves from trees or from plants around. This knowledge is there. They use manure or vermicompost to have fertilizers for the soil, and of course they have a safer and healthier environment from the rivers what are surrounded, or even just from the soil and where they're working, because they're not using any kinds of these pesticides. And this is the biggest issue, or this is like the biggest advantage of that is they don't have a problem with spending too much money on things, because most of the things they do create by their own. They have usually a cow where they can get the manure from. They're doing their own pesticides, and with the seeds, of course, if you have like a cool organic farmers, they're like they're associated, or they're in an association. So mostly the seeds were provided, and they don't have to buy it from any BASF or Monsanto is not there anymore, but from these companies who are telling them things, So this is one most important thing, and also what you need to take care about is like that they have more money in their pocket in the end. So this is something that was very important from how we started our business. So we start at least with organic fabrics, or like organic materials. So this is one thing. What was one of the ideas we had when we saw all these kind of things. So and why did I care when I was there? We have been there in 2005. I studied environmental science, so I was anyhow very keen on environmental issues and checking all these kind of things. And I was just digging into this topic with the organic cotton farmers on the one side. So what else do we do differently? What I just said is like what we try to do is we want to try to enable people to set up their own business, to make their own garments, whether at home or even having a company to make like slow fashion. That means having one or two pieces or 3 or 4 pieces a year, but handle them with value. Because what is also important for us is that we have high quality fabrics, of course. Because this is the first sustainable step is to having a long living fabric or cloth in the end, or garment in the end. So I think this is one thing, and also to raise the awareness about this issue that fabrics or like garments in the end have to have a value. This is nothing that you just buy one piece and you wear it 1 or 2 times and you throw it away because it was so cheap. Just ask your grandmother how she has a jacket, how long she took her jacket, and what kind of quality it was. If you might have a look at my shirt and you think, oh, this guy's talking about organic and fair and all this kind of thing, and he's wearing like in Lacoste. Yeah, this Lacoste I bought secondhand. So secondhand is always best because things that are already there you can buy. This garment is made in France, so it must be more than 25 years old. I bought it at Humana in a second-hand shop, and see, the quality is just lovely. And I remember that my grandfather had all these kind of shirts as well. Some of them I even wear because the quality was just high standard. And of course, you give some money, you spend some money more on that, but you keep it longer, you have it as a value, and it's like a piece you want to keep for as long as possible, and also might repair in the end. So this is something we want to raise awareness for these issues. And also what I mentioned is that if we talked about the organic cotton farmers or about the cotton farmers, the next step then is you have to make a yarn out of the cotton, and then you have to make from the yarn you have to weave or to knit a raw fabric, and then it comes down to finish this fabric with color and finishing it. And this is also quite a long chain. Lots of steps are involved, and in each and every step you can find environmental and social issues you need to tackle. So, and that's why we decided from the very first beginning that we are using a certificate for that, or like an certification for that, and it's called the GOTS. It's a Global Organic Textile Standard. What is checking along the supply chain, what I just said, if if the standards are in place, so that we can be sure that we keep certain level of standards due to the whole supply chain, as we don't want to exploit any people, or just that they're not paid well, and all these kind of things. That's why we started the company. We don't want to have this externalization of the cost or the exploitation of people and the environment. We don't want to have. But we figured out that like a certification is not enough, so we have to go more up the supply chain. We have to go more down more up to the cotton fields. So what is our plan for the next year is that we want to see what is our carbon footprint all along the supply chains we have. What is actually a big thing where you have to put a lot of energy in, and you have to find a solution for that, and also showing it to the clients, So, and you might have seen that right now lots of companies out there, they have like a climate neutral button on that, and they're saying this is a climate neutral product. But you may check what about the details. Usually, most of the companies, they're just getting the data from the office, what kind of energy they use there. Of course, we use renewable energy since 13 years. So they may have a carbon footprint maybe for their office, and they offset this carbon just paying money in a project. That is actually quite easy. So our plan is what we want to do. We want to go up the supply chain and want to see how much energy is used in the spinning, in the dye house. And then maybe just first of all, having a report to say, see, this is the status of our fabrics, if you want to see the carbon footprint. And then the next thing is, of course, if you have this kind of emissions, sure, you can offset these things, and this is also what we want to do, but we just don't want to pay it off like an Ablasshandel from Luther. You may have heard about this, the people who studied history. So what we do is we want to work together with our partners in the supply chains to get improvements, to see if this dye house maybe can, or if we can set up a plan, when can we maybe have renewable energies to have a better carbon footprint in this entity. Or we see even what we can do with our suppliers and with the cotton farmers, because what we figured out is that organic cotton is carbon positive, can be a carbon positive plant, and all these kind of things. So these are the plans, how we try to, how we can try to safeguard humanity's future. This is what we do. If we want to follow what we do and want to know more about it, feel free to go to lebenskleidung.com or to send us an email with your further questions. I wish you a nice event. I hope you have lots of nice input, and so I hope that you get a small insight from this textile industry, what is like can be really or is usually really dirty and exploiting, but there are lots of alternatives. Also, you might see that there are like lots of eco-fashion shops just opened like that, and maybe you just have a walk in, check what nice clothes they have. They have for sure. It's not this old linen fashion, no color thing that changed a lot in the last years. But most important is that you check your wardrobe, see how many pieces you have already in, how much of them you're wearing, and bad thing is there's a lot of stuff already in the market. So maybe one good thing could be if you just only buy some secondhand, go to Humanit. What else? You have to dig for quite a lot, but you can find these nice pieces like for €8, made in France, still high quality fashion. So So that was my input. Hopefully you like it. It's a bit unusual for me to sit not in front of the audience, sitting here in my office quite late and making this recording for you. So I apologize if it's not the same. Like I have a speech with people in front of me also asking me questions, all these kind of things. So thanks a lot for your attention. If you have any question, feel free to ask me, and have a nice evening. Bye.